Hi, everybody. It's Bob Ost. This is Friday, May 24th. So it's time for the TRU Community Gathering. We've been doing this 209 consecutive weeks now, believe it or not. We started it in um, April 17th of 2020 as a response to COVID. Oh, that old thing. Oh, COVID. Oh, gosh. Um, Supposedly we're in the post-COVID era, right? This is the post-COVID era. No? Except for the fact that I still know people who have COVID, so it's still happening. It's still a happening thing, everybody. So just continue to be careful and continue to be conscious and considerate of the people around you. It's it's just it's a very clever little virus, isn't it? So now that we're no longer talking about the freak out of being in isolation and what the heck is quarantine. We now can talk about theater and all sorts of aspects of theater, and um, now that we're ostensibly back in live performance. Whereas I will underline ostensibly, we were in live performance, but we're not getting the audiences that we need to get. So today we're going to talk about a topic that is always of interest. It was of interest when we were in shutdown. It's of interest now that we're out of shutdown. And it's something that has a little bit of a mystery to so many of us because we know what it is and we think we know how to use it, but we're not really sure that we can use it as effectively as it can be used. It's called social media. We're going to talk about social media today. We're going to talk about social media from a couple of different aspects. We have two guests with us today who are going to share their social media strategies. And then we have a guest who actually is kind of a real pro with LinkedIn, but she also has now expanded into multi-platforms. So she can talk about the perspective of all the platforms. But we will include LinkedIn. And stop giggling if you're young. That's not fair. We will be talking about LinkedIn. LinkedIn has its place and is very important. So I'm going to bring my guests in without any further ado. And here we are. Camila, I'm going to get it wrong now. Camila, hi, welcome. Nicolette, welcome. And Benita, welcome. Benita, why don't you start with an introduction and tell us a little bit better than what I did in terms of what your expertise is? Because I mean, I know I get like newsletters from you all the time about LinkedIn, but you are a little bit, you're adept at other things as well. So
Yes. I'm the CEO and founder of the Visibility Solutions Group, and we focus on empowering entrepreneurs, small business owners with the tools and knowledge to generate revenue while as a part of leveraging the digital landscape. So our core competency, our biggest client base comes to us starting usually at the place of LinkedIn. You said don't chuckle, just as a quick side there. LinkedIn, boomers and Xers are no longer the largest population. It's now millennials, and the younger gens are coming up the ranks. So there is a place for them.
it's sort of like LinkedIn is the platform you grow into.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It is a professionally based platform, but as it makes sense that boomers and Xers are aging out of it because of how we're moving into more retirement, those of us that can. And obviously those millennials and Gen Zs are moving into those, or are in their career wealth producing years, and that's it's changed in and of itself. But we do other things. We focus a lot on working with companies and people on developing a digital and a social strategy, and we support several clients across the digital landscape doing work in Facebook and Instagram. Right now, the big thing that everybody's talking about and that we really need to talk about is the chat platforms like WeChat and WhatsApp. And so we do support in those areas as well. My background, just very quickly, I come from 30 years of global brand marketing, working on brands that everybody knows. You're probably sitting at your desk drinking something I probably marketed at one point or another. And I moved into the realm of independent business owner. We're in our 8th year, and we have worked on training on how to leverage the different parts of digital for more than 100 different clients at this point. So we have a little bit of experience.
Well, thank you. Let's see, I'm going to just quickly say that Camila and Nicolette are both TRU members, and I know them pretty well. And Nicolette is a producer as well as a writer. And actually, she's helping me put together a town hall that we're going to be doing in June, which is basically giving voice to Native American artists. We're going to talk about the unseen art part of our population, one of the unseen parts of our population. So Nicolette was going to talk a little bit about the various ways that she uses social media. Camila is relatively new to us, but she is a member of YPAC, and she is also an aspiring producer. Unlike so many in the room, she's not a self-producer. She is aspiring to actually be a producer, and she's going to talk about how she also uses different platforms. Would one of you want to jump in and just give us a little overview? I'm looking for overviews from the three of you, and then we're going to go back and we'll go deeper. We'll do a deeper dive.
For overview, are you wanting to know who we are?
Yes, let's start with that. You could probably introduce yourself better. I mean, I actually know you both very well, but
okay,
introduce yourself.
I can go ahead. Chokma Sahochapoa Nicolette Blount, Chickasaw. Hello, my name is Nicolette Blount, and I am Chickasaw. I speak in the language because the language is dying. The Chickasaw language is on the UNESCO's endangered language list, so it's important for me to share that with people when I can. As Bob said, I'm a producer, I'm a writer, I'm a lyricist, and I'm a composer, I'm a performer, and I guess I'm fairly decent at social media. Just an overview. My musical is called Savage the Musical. It's about my great grandmother, Wanda Savage, and who's Chickasaw. And I just added up my social media followers just to give you guys an idea. Between Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X, I will be honest, I don't use very much. But overall, I have over 10,000 followers. And the show has never been up on its feet other than a local community production here in Massachusetts. I'm in Amherst, Massachusetts. Although I'm in New York, it seems like weekly. So I'm like an adopted New Yorker.
Thanks, Nicolette. Camila, you want to give us a little bit of background on you? I know that you're a recent grad and you come into theater and you have ambitions, and I'm excited just to know you because I'm always looking for young people. I got to be honest with everybody. We need young people in TRU because what are we going to do? I mean, this is not going to be any TRU if we don't have young people who are coming in. So thank you for finding us, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. So my name is Camila. I actually haven't graduated yet. I'm a senior at Barnard College at Columbia University, studying education, and I am a creative producer. And how Bob mentioned, I'm not a writer. I just like producing. But I'm so happy to be part of TRU. I'm also director of education for YPAC, which is Young Professionals and Artists Circle here at TRU, where we help create programming and professional development opportunities for early career producers and creative professionals. We had our first event recently, which was great. And I'm so excited to be here and talk about social media.
So tell us, Nicolette gave us a little idea of the span of the platforms that she works on. Do you have a platform that you consider your primary focus and the others are just to enhance it? So let's talk about that a little bit.
Are you asking any of us?
No, I was going to start with Camila.
Yeah, so I'm an associate producer for Kids Access Press, which is a press team made up of middle schoolers, and now we have some high schoolers. But they're kids and they cover events around the city. So we cover like red carpets at Tribeca Film Festival, now called Tribeca Festival. We cover the Jimmy Awards and Broadway Con, Kids Night on Broadway. So a lot of cool events. And so I run their social media. And so for them, our focus has been Instagram and everything else stems from there. So it's also because of the specific population we're targeting. So younger people who are looking for the kind of content we produce are younger, are on Instagram primarily. So we focus on Instagram. We also use Facebook and TikTok. We're not on Twitter or X because of, again, our age group. It's younger people are like, these are middle schoolers and high schoolers, and they're not on Twitter. So, but yeah, so mostly Instagram. But
Okay,
I
so
love LinkedIn too.
so Nicolette, what is your primary platform? And the other thing that just think about, because I'm gonna ask you this later, is how do you expand from your platform of choice, and how do you use the other platforms? Okay, so where's your central focus?
So my children have told me that Facebook is for old people. So I will say that my Facebook it's over 2,000 followers, but my most is Instagram. And I would say that I use that a lot. And yeah, I don't want to answer your other question yet and jump ahead of myself, but yes, I use Instagram the most, I would say.
Okay. Benita, you probably designed social media strategies for numerous companies. So how do you decide where you're going to put your primary focus, and how do you decide what else will be helpful for them? Is it industry related? Is it age related? And you have to unmute.
I mean, there are multiple factors that go into making those decisions. You obviously want to look who the client target audience is. If when we think about theater, if we're looking to try to reach investors, then you're likely going to look at platforms where they're spending their time, because the reality is today, especially since digital transformation really started to kick in 2020, because we had to move to the digital landscape, just as you said, how these started with COVID, we moved online. With all of those changes now, everybody's doing this stuff online. So you really have to understand where they are online and get to them. So I would say, if I'm thinking from a theatrical standpoint, and you're thinking about investors, I would think about X. I would think about LinkedIn, and I would probably even go into Facebook, because again, when you're thinking about where are the people who have the money to spend right now, you think about that age group. Now, I have clients who are targeting millennial restaurant goers. So for that client, we focus heavily on Instagram and TikTok. And I have financial and travel customers. And so those we go across all platforms, including Instagram, because Instagram, the highest population is the millennial right now. And that's, those are the ones that are starting to have money and do investments or traveling with the travel client. So really, the first place we start is, what is your industry and who are you trying to reach? Because you have to go where they're at now. I mentioned WhatsApp earlier. Is we are now playing with WhatsApp, because WhatsApp, when we think about different forms of digital and communication, when we think about emails, you mentioned I send out my newsletter. WhatsApp currently has 100% read rate. So if you're able to get into the WhatsApp communities, you have a much higher chance of reaching and being able to engage with them. So that's, for our organization, that's a new entree that we are exploring, because the data shows it's the place to start to build.
Curious, Camila and Nicolette, have you included WhatsApp in your strategies? But you will now.
Well, definitely
Camila?
for Nicolette. Camilla, as you're looking at the younger population, that's probably not. But, Nicolette, you said about Facebook, your kids saying it's for old people. Well, yes. Interestingly, though, the older set of the Gen Zs are starting to come back to Facebook, which I don't have any explanation for. They're probably not the financial investors, but they may be your patrons soon.
Well, Gen Z tends to like the vintage stuff, like the record players are coming back. I found out like the tape recorders are coming back, like all this stuff. They tend to like the old stuff from the 80s. That makes
Tape
sense.
recorders. Oh no.
Is MySpace coming back? I mean, that might happen. I don't know.
Oh gosh, that would be really funny.
No. Oh my God. Acid
Well, we know that
flashback.
there are secret social platforms.
There are?
Oh, yes. I call them secret social platforms, but these kids have other tools that they're using. So there is a platform, the name is going to escape me, that my youngest, she's 19. She uses primarily to just do photo stories. She posts on Instagram periodically. Most of her communication is not through text, it's through Snapchat. So, there's a lot out there that us old people don't know about.
Okay, so let's take these as like case studies. Let's take Nicolette and Camila as case studies. Camila, what is it you are promoting? Are you using social media mainly to get word out about the companies that you're doing social media for? So you're company based in a sense.
Yeah, I mean
And then, oh, by the way, I didn't say, oh my God, the Jimmy Awards, yay!
Yeah, the Jimmy Awards are fun. So for Kids Access, it's mostly reaching people who would be interested in people who listen to like Entertainment Tonight or like different news outlets around entertainment. Would like to hear a kid's perspective. So that's who we're targeting for that. And kids, like their friends and their communities who are excited to see them on a red carpet.
How do you gauge your success?
It's engagement opportunities, but I also wanted to mention, so for YPAC, so for TRU, I help run our social media for that as well. And there it's a different focus. It's more it's trying to build a community to bring them into programming, and it's a more professional, or it's an older audience. So it's also interesting to look at that. But yeah, but for YPAC success, it seems like it's people signing up for events, it's following, engaging with material, reposting, responding when there's a call to action. So yeah, that's.
And what would a typical call to action be?
Like when we had our first event recently, we posted on Instagram and on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we said, like, please sign up, we're doing this event. And so having people respond, so we had a lot of signups. We had some people say, I can't go, but I'd love to be sent a recording. And so that I consider that success whenever
Well, I'm going to ask you a kind of an old guy question, which is, I have people that say they're going to TRU events all the time on Facebook and in social media, and maybe 1 out of 5 show up. How do you increase your actual engagement, your physical engagement with these people? How do you actually get them there? I mean, this is also probably one of the implied questions of everybody in the room, who basically, I think, are hoping that somehow or other they're going to magically find a way of using Facebook to get audiences to come to see their shows, which is what we really want to make happen.
Yeah.
Think of that as you're answering everything as well, because I think that's going to be important to people in the room.
I think that's a great point. I think it's really important to be like super specific with your audience. So the wider the net, not necessarily the more people you're going to catch. So you need to be really focused in that sense. I have my notes here. And then being clear about how you're providing value is important. So for example, for YPAC, it's like writing a network, content about like how to produce, like tips and also motivation in a difficult industry, and So thinking about like the pain points for your customers, or, you know, how are they struggling? How can we help? And once you provide like value through social media, they're likely to then respond to like in-person events or further bigger asks of them. So like serve before you sell, like provide value before asking them to do anything, to exert any energy for something we're hosting.
Well, I mean, for years, I mean, we've been doing these social media conversations for probably 20 years by now. I don't know. I feel like it's at least that long. And one of the things that we had to learn very early on was that social media in general is about engagement. It's not about sales. Is that's still true? Because I see nodding heads. So I'm so afraid of
And
being
awareness.
old. I'm so afraid of being too old for this panel. It's like.
I think people are just so busy and they forget. They say they're going to something. I think they forget. So I think you inundate them. I think you just keep telling them, because I think people just, especially if you think about it, people are on their phones on social media while they're on the train, while they're waiting for their kids to get out of dance, while they're eating. Well, and it's very quick, like, oh yeah, there's that coming up. I think that would be my opinion. That might be helpful.
Well, I'll just say
Repetition
that
breeds
I'll just.
retention.
What was that?
Repetition breeds retention. That's,
Well,
you know.
what I do is, but I look at all the people that say they're going to an event, and I actually message them and I say, "Have you signed up yet? Have you reserved yet?" It hasn't really increased anything, but I feel like, what else can I do? I mean, is that the right thing to do? Is there a different way of approaching it?
I would say, like, if it's an event, I would post like at least every other day, and I would have different kind of posts that talk about the event, but different ways of posting about it. So it's not the same old, like kind of like what you do with, when we do the TRU Speak and stuff like that, and you have like people talk and like give testimonials, and I think being consistent in posting and then coming up with creative ways to talk about the event in a new way that will spark people's attention and also remind them.
I think
Benita.
that, I mean, the reality, Bob, is, you know, to Nicolette's point, getting people to show up is probably the biggest challenge. I mean, I host a monthly event, and yesterday I was hosting it. I had 16 people sign up to come. 10 of them was super excited about them coming. None of them showed up. I had 6 people show up, but those 10, none of them showed up. It's really a challenge. I would say that there are different things that you can do. You know, do you use texting? You know, that's always, you know, because we've got a multi-generational population now using different tools. Some respond to a call, some respond to an email, some respond to a text. That's why we're looking at WhatsApp as well. So you have to try to figure out, of your audience, what are the right tools. For this last event, I did an email reminder the day before. I did an email reminder an hour before. I did an email reminder 15 minutes before, and I sent out a reminder all through my through LinkedIn. So I just, it's a real hard nut to crack. One of our clients, you know, our measurement is foot traffic. You know, social media, like broadcast media and everything, it's always really about awareness and impressions, not conversion.
Okay, so I think we're all looking for the mysterious magic wand that'll convert people into actually appearing, showing up. It's comforting to know that I'm not the only one who has that problem. Well. So I just want to also note that we have questions that are coming up in the chat. Ross, it's at some point, not exactly right now, because I want to ask a few more questions. We'll start taking the questions from the chat, unless you think there's something in there that we should address now. So you can look over that and let us know. You can speak and let us know. Be the voice of God.
I think we're good right now, but yeah.
Okay, you see, he's the voice of God. You see, so I didn't move the question to you exactly, Nicolette. The same thing that I asked Camila, which is basically, How do you gauge your success, and what are the platforms that you use? I started off asking you what your central platform is. How do you expand from that platform? How do you use different platforms in different ways?
I use Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I mean, I kind of use X, but I mean, I have 272 followers on X, so I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really invested much time into X, but I think mostly because I'm very visual and X seems to be more like typing. I know you can post videos and pictures and stuff, but yeah, but I would say Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook are the majority ones. And usually you can cross over, especially now Instagram. You can post what you're posting on Instagram, and it'll post on Facebook. It doesn't go the other way though. You've got to post, as far as I know. I think you have to post on Instagram, and then you can also link it to your Facebook, and it will post on there as well. And that's helpful. A lot of times if I do a reel on Instagram, I will use it later on my TikTok. So I repurpose things and put it throughout the different social medias, but at different times. I won't do the same ones all the time. I think what I wanted to say to everybody, all the musical people out there, is that you have to take the way that you creatively tell a story and do the exact same thing on social media, but it's a different kind of story, but it's still a story, and it's still using your creativity. There's a lot of apps that can help you with that. You can use CapCut, you can use Canva, there's so many apps. Just look up apps for social media videos. Like, there's so many out there. And I think once you get the hang of it, it really doesn't take that much time. There's other things that you can use. There's sites that will help you schedule it. So if you want to take, let's say, an hour on Sunday and schedule all your social media posts, you can do that. There's sites like Buffer, MailChimp, Social Oomph, Social Pilot, and a lot of them are free up to, I think, a certain point. So you have to look that up. But my main thing that I want to tell everyone is you are your own brand, and people want to hear. They don't. So if you guys look up Joey Contreras and In Pieces, I'm actually a co-producer on that show. He's excellent with social media. Do what he does. So he does a lot of personal story stuff. He does a lot of, stuff about the musical, but also stuff about him. Like I sometimes post little snippets of like inspirational things on my story. Make it not just about advertising for your show. I think I went beyond the question. I'm sorry.
No, that was great. I appreciate it. Benita, did you want to add anything to this?
Well, no, I mean, Nicolette has really expressed it well. Nicolette, can you drop the name of the person you said we should follow?
Joey Contreras.
Says it. To expand just slightly on what Nicolette said, video continues to be the top form of media that is consumed, and it has a 92% retention rate. So those little videos, those TikTok videos, the stories and reels are incredibly valuable. And everybody has to remember, we all do business with people. So when Nicolette is saying about adding some of the personal stuff, that's what's gonna start to resonate more than the constant promotion of your play or your event. People, social media is a false sense of reality. I've said this for years. I tell the story of my youngest having an argument with her father over Kim Kardashian, because of course my daughter knows Kim Kardashian. She follows her on social media and Kim responds. So, it's this whole false sense of reality. So people want to know you. They don't want you just always pitching them. Now, you might do it as a personal one. I'm so excited. I'm heading out to, do a read through, reminding you to sign up. But I think, Nicolette, you really nailed it when you talked about that.
I think if you think of it as a diary or a journal, and journal and diary on social media instead of in a book.
You see here's the hitch for me. I'm a word guy, and I'm fine when I'm using text. I suck when it comes to the photos. I mean, how do you, I never go out of my apartment, so what am I going to take a picture of?
But that's when you do video or you do lives where you talk for a few minutes and then you go off and, or you just say, hey guys, just letting you know about this new thing I'm doing, 1 minute video. That's it. Put it out there.
Okay, so I have to use my Zoom skills and actually record myself. Okay. I have a bad enough time doing it when I'm doing introductions to our benefits. But all
But
right.
also like sometimes I'll share a picture of just like, this is my office today. This is where I'm working today. This is like stupid little things. Like people just want an insight into your life. And then you are your own brand. So you become also personal to them. Like she was saying about Kim Kardashian and her daughter knows her. Like people will feel like they know you more and you bring them in. And so then they're investing not only in your show, but in you, which is kind of like what we say about producing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
When
us.
when raising money, they're raising money for you, not necessarily just your show.
Thank you, Jane
Mhm.
Cuban, for teaching me that. And all the other PDMP teachers.
I mean, Bob, you have years of experience here. You could easily, a couple times a week come on and talk about, you might have old pictures of you with people who were on Broadway or who did shows. You can say, oh, I came across this photo. I remember when I was reading the review of such and such a new play that just came out, and I saw it last week and blah, 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 blah. Who's seen it? Those kind of things. It's speaking to your strengths and creating interest.
I post a lot, and it's the
Right.
words that is my strength. But I understand that I need to start doing visuals. It's like
You probably read my newsletter where it says I'm camera shy.
yeah.
Yeah, I need to do that too.
I desperately want to go on Wheel of Fortune, and I still haven't recorded myself and sent it into them. This is like years I've been thinking about doing this.
And I think once you have things for a while, you can always go back and regurgitate. People don't remember. And if you have new followers, post something from like 2 or 3 years ago and be like, oh, Throwback Thursday, here you go.
So I'm going to ask a very basic Facebook question. What exactly I don't know how to use the those camera things, the stories, what are they called? They have a specific name where you're supposed to be telling a story with pictures, which a lot of people don't do. They basically put in screen after screen of just typed words. But I don't know how to use that. Can you tell me how to use that? Do you know what I'm even talking about?
Are you talking about reels?
Reels, that's it.
Yes. You have reels and stories depending on if you're using Instagram or if you're using Facebook. Nicolette talked about some tools that can help you with this, and she mentioned Canva. Canva yesterday just rolled out an update, and it is so super easy. You can go into that tool, you can click on it, you want to make a reel, you can drag in pictures, you can do a video of yourself right off of it, and it will create it for you in the format that you need it. And you can even connect your Facebook or Instagram now through Canva and just load it up right from there. So it's a one-stop shop. It's really just about creating a video in a different format, usually shorter, that you post. It just is posted differently on the platforms, and it's something that doesn't stay in the feed. It's a short term, it goes into your story and then it disappears and it's gone.
Is it worth doing?
We now have a society that has no attention span. And so, yes, and if you're somebody who they find what you're doing intriguing or clever, they start to pay attention and wait for you to post your story or reel so that they don't miss it.
I see a lot of stories and reels that maybe are just not done very well, but basically they're just like they're like one screen and then that's it. It's like, what is that for?
That's
Yeah,
taking,
do that.
go ahead, Nicolette.
Oh yeah, it's just kind of like a daily blog. Like you can share things from other sites, like quotes and things like that. It's just, in fact, I find more interaction with my stories than I do in my feed. I get more people seeing my stories because people, there's everybody's little head on the top and they just start going through everything and seeing, because those are kind of like daily updates. So if they want to know what you're doing today or what you want to share, inspiration, whatever, like that's where I'll put quotes and pictures of quotes and other things. You can put all kinds of stuff through there.
And Bob, I'll say that this is also a generational thing. Just lumping me in
Did you
here,
notice that
our generation tends
difference?
to scroll, and as you move younger, they are looking more at the stories and the lives. It's just click, 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 click. I mean, when I watch my kids' thumbs, I'm amazed. And when you were saying about the still, sometimes there are people who post a regular post and then share it to their story or their reel. And so that's why it looks like it's a static. It's just those people are trying to make sure that they're getting the entire population that is looking at their stuff or
Now
on their phone.
that part I can do. That I can do. I never noticed that there was a share to reel. I guess I may have seen it and not known what it meant. So yeah, I could do that. But I'm looking we're all looking for ways of doing social media better. What is Sandy saying? Bob is the oracle. What does that mean? What does that mean, Sandy? Oh well. So Ross, start bringing in some of the questions from the room.
Okay. What advice do you have on inundating people without annoying them? I find many people start ignoring people and things when they see too much.
I can answer.
Yeah.
I mean, this is similar to what Nicolette was saying, but providing the same information in a different way is great. So, for example, with our most recent YPAC event, we shared, we did like daily reminders, but it was like a reminder, like it wasn't quite obvious. We were highlighting our panelists and our moderators each day. So it wasn't the same graphic over and over again, but it was a new piece of information about the event that we hadn't shared before. Another reason they might be excited to be there. We would tag all the shows people have worked on and all the performance companies. And so it was even though it was a daily reminder, it was also a way of like providing new information and new visual.
I'm going to take a guess on this, Jeff. I think the people that get annoyed by the inundation of these posts are because the posts aren't engaging. The posts are asking them to do something, and they don't want to keep being asked to do something. It's like, buy a ticket to my show, buy a ticket to my show, buy a ticket to my show. That's not going to work. That two of those will feel like inundation. So
It's called social and stories for a reason. Like it's called stories because you're telling a story, and social media because we're not just marketing, it's more of a social interactive, or at least people feel like they're being interactive.
So Jeff, I have to say in all fairness that some people are better at doing this than others, and we may all think that we're doing this right, and we may all think that we're trying to create. It's about content, not about requests. You're not using. The only time it's about requests if you're saying, I have a problem to solve with my play. What would you do? I mean, I've seen those kinds of posts, and I actually find them intriguing. They'll get responses.
Yes, I did one with my logo. They will. If you say,
Yeah.
oh, here's 3 different ideas for a logo, what do you guys think? You'll get responses on things like that where they feel like they're adding to your production in some way or your development. Yeah, but I think that's a really good idea too.
So basically, it's about making them feel like you're interested in their ideas, not necessarily their money.
When we're doing our trainings, we always tell the participants that every single person on social media has an opinion. And so putting things out that generate some kind of, even just a little bit of tension, should we go with the red one or the blue one? People, as Nicolette said, they want to participate in the conversation. And that engagement is key, and making sure that you are engaging back every time. You need to close that loop, because the reality in social media is that engagement is more valuable than anything else you can do. We teach it, we say it's about compounding interest, like in finance, but for us, the interest is about the interest of what you're doing. And every time somebody comments and you comment back, it continues to push your content back out into the feeds and reaching more people.
Ross, any additional? I think there's more. I see a lot of them.
Yeah. I don't really know what this means. Someone said, does supplying for help? Question mark.
Alan Stewart, what does supplying for help mean?
The supplying food help at the event.
Oh,
Sorry.
Supplying food. Yes, we don't want prepositions. We want food. Got it.
I also wanted to add something too. If your show has some sort of a cause that it's related to, you know, so for my show, it's got Native themes. So those kind of things, I will share important things about Natives and important things to know about MMIW. Like that can broaden your sense of things that you can talk about on your social media. If your show is about, I don't know, sexual assault, then maybe you need to post things about that, or mental health or Alzheimer's or things like that that relate to your show, but aren't always about your show.
Camila.
On a similar note, it makes me think of like Be More Chill, that their social media was like a teenager, like how they communicated. And so that's like a way to like, they built their community. They, you know, like they were able to tap into the people who would care about what they had to say in their musical. And their social media presence was very effective. And also like Shucked, which had like their like great little jokes on all over. So yeah, so I think like the voice of the show, appealing to a specific community, whether it's a cause or like an affinity or, you know, whatever it is that like who would care about what the show is saying, and yeah, all of that is.
Would you all be willing to go platform by platform and talk about what you think works and what doesn't work on each platform? Is that going too much into the weeds? How do you differ? How does your posting differ from platform to platform? Let's put it that way.
I feel like honestly it's pretty similar. Like the integrity of it, like you're providing help or something of value, and then people react, and it's like yeah, we at least for like the social media I lead, we reuse the content a lot. Like it's not very different what we do on each platform. It's more like who responds on each platform that's a little different.
And so the idea is that different populations are going to get the message on different platforms.
I would say that TikTok, when I've posted things with like my face and I'm talking to people tend to like that on TikTok. Because a lot of, this is gonna sound really weird, a lot of TikToks go viral when it's just someone in a car talking to you. It's very strange. It's just like, hey, let me talk to you about this issue that I'm having an issue with. Yeah, so it's interesting how when I just put my face on there, I'm just talking to people, either I'm encouraging them in their art or whatever, talk about Native stuff, whatever it may be. I tend to get a lot of engagements on those, or at least views.
I think to your point, Bob, I do think you have to understand the nature of the platform. You know, when we think about TikTok, we think of these short little videos. Some are very snappy, some are just engaging as far as the conversation. That's a video platform. When you think about Instagram, you've got your reels and your stories, but Instagram is a very visual platform. When we talk about LinkedIn, people don't want to be sold on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is about sharing and gathering information. And when we talk about Facebook, Facebook is a very consumer driven, so it's a very personal thing. So how you're sharing the content on Facebook is more from an emotional standpoint, and that's probably the most visual and text driven, but so how you're sharing, what you're sharing and how you're sharing it across the different platforms, you want to think about how you're delivering the content.
Okay, and I think Ross says that there's more questions from the room. And I still want to know why Stanley called me an oracle. I'm freaked out. It's like, what?
Yeah, so let me see. This is just about WhatsApp. Could you give us some examples how you create and use the WhatsApp communities?
Well, I will say I don't know exactly yet. This is new to me and we are researching it. You're going to have to get an opt-in to have them join your group. You'll have to set up a group, and then it will be a matter of how you are delivering content. As I said, you know, this is just new and is just emerging for me within our organization. So maybe that's a good conversation for a later date, Bob, but maybe Camila, it looks like you might have a good answer here.
Yeah, I think I've been on the opposite end, like where I haven't done any, I haven't shared anything through communities on WhatsApp, but I am in communities where I've received things. And so I see it as the way I've seen it used most up until now, at least, is like more for like a group with like a shared interest and like different events that might be of interest or different resources for that specific group, if that makes sense. So like one is like young people in the city and like things that they do for fun, and so it's like targeted towards that, and so I haven't used it to share information, but I have received it, and I think it yeah, I mean I think it varies in like effectiveness. Like some groups, I think they read more of what's shared, others less. Like depends on how big it is, like how often they're sharing things, but yeah, but
Well, let me ask you this, Benita. What has shifted? Is anything shifted about about WhatsApp? Is there are there tools or something that they've added that
Well,
are new?
I think one of the thing about WhatsApp is it's fully encrypted. And so that the level of privacy is greater than the other platforms. The other thing is I think that there are additional communities that are using it because of, you know, when I think about going abroad, you know, so reaching a broader audience and things like that. So I think that the communities have changed. And I think the big thing is the encryption part of it, because we now live in a society where everybody is skeptical and anxious about, you know, people knowing their stuff.
And there have been many missteps and many reasons for them to feel that way. So Ross, next.
Let me see. Can someone talk about AI technology, AI algorithms impact on digital marketing? What should we be doing to take advantage of the technology?
I would say
Interesting
post every
question.
day. My response is post every day or every other day. I'm sure Benita has better things than I have, though.
I think firstly, it's valuable to understand that digital marketing, social media marketing is different than things like social selling, where you're trying to sell products or services. Where social media marketing is really about mostly what we're talking about here in driving awareness. As far as the algorithms, so I know mostly about the algorithms when it comes to LinkedIn. I think what you said, Nicolette, is 100% accurate. It's about being consistent. It's not necessarily about posting every day, but if you're posting every week and you tend to post on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which, by the way, are the peak days on certain platforms. Other ones are different, but if I think that's it also when it comes to the algorithms, it's understanding the nuances of what the platforms like and dislike, and I'm sure Nicolette or Camila can probably speak to this a little better than I can, but I know when Instagram first launched, I think the sweet spot for hashtags was 32. Then about 2 years ago, and the goal of that was to build your communities. The hashtags was about building your communities. Then they rolled it down to about 13 2 years ago. And now, similar to other platforms, I know LinkedIn is this way, they say 3 to 5 valuable hashtags because they don't want you just stuffing it. And so when you do more hashtags, it on some platforms, it suppresses your content. The other thing is, make sure you're using hashtags that have followers. If you've got 3 to 5 hashtags, I'm not going to put a hashtag up that says hashtag Benita Samuels because nobody's following it.
Well,
So-
usually when you put in the hashtag, it will give you how many followers that there are my rule of thumb is like I want at least 100,000 for me to use the hashtag.
It depends on your category, your industry. You have to always remember also with hashtags, it's not about what interests you, it's about what interests your audience. You want them to be, you want to get to the hashtags that your audience is interested in.
Camila.
Yeah, in terms of the algorithm, it's also like how much they engage with the content and how long they're viewing each piece of media. So like a few things, like so if they're staying on your content longer, like on Instagram Reels, like people just swipe through Reels. If they stay, that's like good for your posts. Like they'll show it to more people. So like some ideas for like Tori Dunlap, she's big on Instagram. She says like lead with the hook or the punchline. And then the rest of the joke or like the rest of the valuable information. So like first, which is counterintuitive, but to lead with like the most flashy, like
Well, it's sort of like an ad with a headline.
Yeah. So
it's your headline.
And then so anything where they're probably going to stay longer on the image. So I've seen some things where it's like something in the video and then it's like read the comments, and so you look at the comments and then there's more there. And so anything where you're engaging or ManyChat, no, I think it's what's called ManyChat. It's like you can automate it, so you like drop or leave a comment or comment this word if you want this resource, and then if you comment something, it'll send you through DM, like direct messaging. So like Ken Davenport uses that, and as he's a theater producer, Tori Dunlap does as well, and that's a way where you get people commenting, and so it's like multiplicative, like it's just so many people commenting and you're sharing your reason, whatever it is that they need. And so so having a call to action again, like comment your favorite whatever, like I don't know, anything, if they feel compelled to engage with it helps a lot. So reposting, all that. Yeah,
it's that compounding interest, Camila.
Ross, next. I think that Stephanie Rommel has a question.
Yeah. How about the rights when you repost other posts, YouTube videos? Where are you safe as the copyright?
There's a legal question for you. I don't know. Do you know the answer, Benita?
I mean, I think everyone's doing that stuff.
Well, it's just reposting copyrighted.
Right. So if you're reposting something that's they've put out in the public and you're reposting it as it was shared, then there's no legal ramifications unless, of course, you're going in and saying, look at how terrible this is, look what's wrong. Then you could then somebody could come up to, it could be slander. But generally, if you're sharing it in its original form and they can see where it came from initially, then you should be safe. If you're republishing it and paraphrasing, then you should either put a link to the original or make sure you reference and give credit. Now, photos are different. We're talking about just sharing content here. Photos, you don't want to go to the web and just pull anything off the web because, licensing issues. So things like the tool Canva, as Nicolette and I mentioned, they have lots of photos that you can use that are included in the package and things like that.
Another great recommendation for photos is Unsplash. which is like a ton of it's so many photos in there, and they're not copyrighted. And so it's great. I highly recommend. Even my iPad screensaver is from Unsplash. Like,
Unsplash. Okay, I'm gonna look for that. Yeah, I mean, is it literally unsplash.com?
Yeah.
Or are we just we'll Google it and it'll take us to the page.
And
All
then
right.
as for music, like, you know, depending on the apps, some of the apps say like you can share music, and then they kind of list the music that you're able to share and post on your posts. But if you're posting something that is someone else's song, then, and like, let's say you're singing it, sometimes you can get flagged for that, and it will say like, this is copyrighted content, and they'll let you know. It's not like you'll get sued. They just let you know, and they mute your content.
Yes, that happened. That happened recently. We had Sue Hanman on doing a presentation on documentaries, and she screen shared a piece that she made for the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, and it has music in it, and they have the rights to the music. But I cannot get it across to YouTube that I was given permission to use this, and they've turned that one off. I mean, I don't think anybody has viewed that now. I think 7 people got to view it before they turned it off. Which
I
is a
even
shame.
had problems with my own music once. I think before TikTok knew that my music was my music, that's happened to me too. Just even my own stuff.
I also know that on, I believe it's Instagram, depending on how you are listed, if you're listed as a business versus an entrepreneur, they limit what music you can have rights to. Is a lot of the popular music too. If you are a business, they will not allow you to use it without approval rights.
Yeah, I think creator's probably a better one, unless you're an actual business.
Okay, next, I see RK has a question.
Yeah.
Ross, do you wanna?
What sells or gets attention on social media platforms?
That's the magic wand. They want to know, he wants to know about the magic wand.
A pretty face. I mean, it's part
A
of
good
it.
a good filter. Your face and
Yeah,
a good filter.
filter, right? Yeah.
I mean, I'll say for kids access, we've experimented with a few different things, and we've seen short vertical videos do the best. So we do have like long form videos that are horizontal. They never do as well, but it's still important to what we do. So we still produce the content, but I think, yeah, short vertical videos do really well. From what I've seen, just like as a consumer scrolling, is people are doing like B-roll and then like text on top of it, which is like super easy to set up, and it's been very effective for a lot of people.
I wonder why vertical gets better. Is it? Do you think it's because reels are vertical and
Well,
they're just
but now
used to
TikTok came
format?
out and said that they're starting to promote the horizontal videos more. So I don't know. Things change every day, the algorithms and what they're deciding is cool and what isn't. So, but I think she's right. I think the majority of the time, you know, you get a full picture in your phone. But I know TikTok has been trying to roll out the horizontal videos more.
Stephanie Rommel has a tricky question. What are the numbers of likes and views which are good at the moment per platform? I don't know if there's a way of really judging that. I mean, it's got to be proportionate to the amount of people you're trying to reach.
Well, on TikTok, I've talked to my children about this, since they're the know all TikToks. I'm like, why do I have all these views but no one's liking it? And they go, oh, people do that all the time. They're like, I even look at your stuff and don't like it, Mom. And I'm like, why? Because you don't like it? They're like, no, I watch it and then I move on. I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe like the views are more important than the likes. What do you think, Benita?
Oh, you're muted.
To your point about what your kids said, Nicolette, I was working with someone trying to understand how to translate those views into followers. How do we get those people to actually follow the page? And it's near impossible, because firstly, you can't track who those views are. But again, they say because of the format, it's just a quick swipe. Watch, swipe, watch, swipe, watch, swipe. And so they're not investing in the content. I think they may follow the page after they've seen it a bunch of times and they like it. But likes, I mean, on LinkedIn, the emotions, those likes and all of that stuff are secondary to comments. Comments are gold. We always say 15 comments are more valuable than 15 posts.
That's a shame. We have a couple of YouTube videos of these community gatherings and also our town halls. The one that we did on adding accessibility to the DEI conversation from a couple weeks ago, that got 5,600 views, but it only got 16 comments. So I was excited until you said that.
Well, Bob,
But
it
she was talking
depends.
about LinkedIn, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's LinkedIn.
Again, you have to put it to the platform. A YouTube view is probably way more valuable than a YouTube comment, simply because of the media and how it's being consumed.
We actually have one YouTube video from one of these community gatherings. This is the one that I did with Nancy Hayes, who was the Angela Lansbury of Australia, and some other Australian artists that I know. 17,000 views. For us, that's like, it's extraordinary. And I'm having her back, by the way. Nancy's coming back in July. Anybody who knows Australia will go, Nancy Hayes, oh my God. Everybody else in America is going, who? But she literally is like the Gwen Verdon and Angela Lansbury combined of Australian musical theater. So, but I digress. Who else do we have? Ross, is there anybody else? I know that Susan Crawford, I know you're raising your hand. I'm going to ask you not to raise your hand, but you can just start talking, because you wind up taking over the screen when you raise your hand. So just put your mic on and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. So I have a whole other life aside from my theater life, which is about helping struggling readers. And I'm just curious to know, this is a disability question, so there's crossover with other people who may be addressing that community. I have a book that I wrote, but the obvious place to market it is on Facebook groups of parents of struggling readers, but you are not allowed to go on Facebook groups and sell anything. So my question to you is how to address something like that, where to go, how to start attracting the right audience. So,
well, one thing that occurs to me immediately is that we've been saying repeatedly I've been saying it repeatedly for 20 years. Social media is not for selling, it's for engaging. But I think what you have to do is make sure that you get people engaged and interested, and then they can go to your website. The website is probably where you're going to make your sales. And I know that sounds obvious, and I'm sure you probably have done that already, but you can't really expect to make many sales at all on the social media platforms. It's unusual. It would be unusual.
No, it's not about that. It's about, letting the audience know what you have available to them in that kind of structure.
Same answer. I'm telling you, it's just you're not selling them on social media. You're trying to get them to your website.
I would say that make sure you're doing a series of posts that you're tagging people that are in the group, and then invest in either boosting the content or doing paid media where you can segment much more closely who you want to see that content. And then in that case, absolutely, to Bob's point, you want to drive them to your website.
Or a sales page of some sort.
Or if in the group you offer a free PDF download of chapter 1. Because then you're not selling, but then you're sending them to a landing page where they sign up, they give you their information, and then they get the PDF delivered. Which and
you can engage by asking them, what do you think? Am I addressing this correctly? you know, have I offended anybody? You basically ask them for feedback on the content that you're giving them. Not ask them to buy it, but just ask them for the feedback. And if you get them talking about it, you might actually get them interested in seeing the rest of the book.
Yeah, and just to say something about boosting posts, because Benita brought that up. So you guys know that you can boost posts for like hardly anything. Like you can go $5 for one day if you want, and it will tell you, well, first you get to choose what your audience is, and you can put tons of words. Like if I was going to do theater, I put theater, musicals, I would put different musicals, Wicked, whatever will show up in the search, because you can put it in there. The Tony Awards, like all these things of people within theater who will like that stuff. And then those people will be in your little group, and then those people will be advertised by whatever post you're boosting. And you, like I said, you can put as little or as much as you want, and for as many days, but make sure that you scroll down and look at that, because there's a little thing that you can pull over for how much you want to spend and how many days. Otherwise, if you don't change that, they just have an automatic one that they do, and you don't want to do that. Like you want to set your own price point in your own days, but that works really well. I've used that a lot too.
So this relates to
point,
Jeffrey Siegel made a comment earlier, and I just want you to respond to this. So hashtags are not about your own content. So explain to him.
No, I mean, the hashtags will be, if you're focusing on what you're interested in, you're basically talking to yourself. So you have to think about who you're trying to reach and what are the things that they're interested in. It may be that, you know, they're interested in basketball and you want to reach the basketball players, but your content is about, you know, I'm making this up, you know, a dog show. But you know that that audience is interested in dog shows, so you want to use the hashtag basketball because you're going to reach your audience. So for me, if I'm doing something, you know, if I'm doing something on LinkedIn, and I know, even though I'm interested in LinkedIn tips, I might have written a post about some new data I learned about. I'm not going to make the hashtag 56% or hashtag. I'm going to make it LinkedIn tips. I'm going to make it entrepreneurs. I mean, because those are the things, those, you know, I follow a hashtag for entrepreneurs. So anybody who is posting stuff with entrepreneurs, I might be interested in. Does that make sense?
Well, I think we've covered a lot today, and it's late enough that I could probably end this now and say a few words on YouTube. And then if you guys can stay a little bit longer, if you can, I think people would probably love to meet you. So I'm going to go into speaker view, and I'm going to thank my audience. I'm going to thank my guests, first of all. Thank you, Camila Grunberg, Benita Samuels, and Nicolette Blount. Very grateful for having you here today and for your sharing information that is way more than what I know about any of this. And I want to thank the room. I want to thank everybody who comes in and joins us every week. And I want to welcome the new people that came in today. Thank you for being with us. And out there in YouTube land, I want to just say, you stumbled upon us somehow or other, and you listened to this presentation and you found it of interest. Consider being part of TRU. Join the community. I can make that happen. You can just email me at trunltd@aol.com, trunltd@aol.com, and I will invite you. We'll send you a Zoom link every week so you'll know that we're up to what we're up to and what we're doing. Next week, I want everybody to know that I have Jim Morgan and Michael Unger coming. Jim Morgan is the Executive Artistic Director of the New York Theater, and Michael Unger used to be his associate, and he went on to be he's the Artistic Director of the Skylight Music Theater in Milwaukee. And the two of them are going to have a conversation about why musical theater matters. They're going to actually talk about what are the differences between developing an audience for musical theater in Milwaukee versus New York. And there are differences. I mean, it'll be probably an interesting conversation. Hope you'll come and join us for that. And then the week after that, we have a diversity presentation, which is going to be about Caribbean artists and giving voice to Caribbean artists who aren't identified as much in our theater world as maybe they could be. And you'll be meeting a Caribbean artist who has won the equivalent of like Tony Awards in his land, his area. And then John Land is going to come in the following week and is going to be talking about producing, how to successfully produce. So we got lots coming up. I hope you'll be part of it. We do this as a community service, or we started it as a community service in 2020. We're now out of shutdown. We now have expenses that we didn't have for a couple of years. So although I really don't want to make it hard for anybody to be part of this and join us, I do hope that you'll consider either joining as a member or giving us a donation, or when you attend, using a ticket price of it's as little as $10. If you want to give us a donation, if you want to sort of support what we're doing, go to TRU Donate, TRUDonate.com, TRUDonate.com. You'll have my eternal gratitude, and you'll know that you're keeping TRU running a little bit longer than it might have without your donation. So that's it, everyone. Thank you, and hope to see you in the weeks to come.